Good morning, Colts Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the No Horsing Around podcast, brought to you exclusively by the Lounge Room Network. As always, we're just two dudes talking Colts. We're your hosts, Steven and Zach. And on today's episode, we have a schedule. So we're going to kind of look through the schedule. We're going to give you guys our feelings, our thoughts. These are not the ones where you're going to timestamp it and you're not going to come back at me and Zach in October and talk to us about how we were wrong when we're doing these initial ones. Then we're always going to hit on our social media sessions powered by One Call. And I'm going to save a little room at the end because Zach has a really freaking cool announcement for you guys. So y'all hear me say it all the time. We don't hesitate. We jump right in. Zach is back, you guys. I missed his face. So I'm sure you guys missed his voice. Zach, we're going to talk schedule, man. What do you think?
Man, I think it's awesome. I mean, I'm excited. You know, it stinks that I missed out, but I actually got to tap in and be like a fan for one show. You know what I mean? Listen to Tony D's uncandid, just
unfiltered.
Cool and unfiltered. Yeah, it was super cool, man. I mean, I first thing I did when I got up that morning, I listened to it, and I'll be honest with you, I was not expecting it to be kind of that insightful and that cool. But I mean, he opened up, man. That was a really cool just to listen to it as a viewer. But I'm excited to get back, with my boy Steve and talk about football, talk about this schedule, this potentially daunting schedule, at the beginning of the season.
Absolutely.
But I know that we're just gonna kind of go back and forth. I guess we agreed on stopping at about every 4 or 5 picks, and then we'll just discuss it. And Steven, I'll let you just kick it off, brother.
Yeah, sounds good. It was kind of funny after we talked about it. I thought about it. It's like normally you break the schedule down into these four-game quadrants. One's going to have 5 because we have 17 games now. I talked about it with Tony D last time. It was like, it's kind of weird when you think, well, what if their record's 10-17? It just sounds weird now, but I digress. Okay, so obviously it's been talked a ton about this first stretch of the season. So, I mean, obviously we open up the season at home against the Seahawks. Great game to open up with. Then we are at home again against the Rams. Then we go to the Titans. It's my game. I will be there, you guys. I'm really excited about that. And then at the Dolphins. So it's potentially a very daunting first 4 games. You're looking at, 3 of those 4 are playoff teams from last year. The one that's not won 10 games and didn't make it because of the last game of the season. Man, it's a tough schedule, man. What do you think?
Well, so I guess where I'm at with it is, you're right. It is the toughest stretch of the season, but it happens every single year, and I don't know why it happens. It's just the football gods that kind of settle things out. But we always look at the schedule, and we always think this is the toughest stretch, and then the season plays along, and you have injuries, and teams play better than expected, worse than expected, and everything just kind of levels out. But that being said, week 1 against the Seahawks, in my opinion, we really have struggled winning season openers, man. I mean, anybody who's a Colts fan knows how it is, start the season off, and we don't always come out of the gates with that season opener. I think this year it changes. Honestly, I think we beat the Seahawks. I think there's just a lot to prove. Playing in front of our fans is one thing that I think is going to be so underestimated, especially early on in this season. Those guys haven't heard full crowds in a very long time. They're not used to real noise. And I think that's an actual competitive advantage, especially in those first 3 or 4 weeks, until teams get used to that again and get their juices flowing, with live bullets, so to speak. I think the teams that play at home early on are going to have some really big advantages. So week 1, I'm going to go us with the win against the Seahawks. Week 2, we're back at home against the Rams. I'm going to say we're going to lose a close nail biter. That's a good football team. The kind of the classic 2 quarterbacks who everybody wanted in the trade, Carson Wentz, Matt Stafford. That's kind of cool. But I think the Rams have a really good football team. So it's definitely not a bad loss.
Well, you remember, and that was what's funny with that is when we were talking about potential primetime games, which really quickly, and I don't want to interrupt, but we totally were off by 1. No Horsing would like to lay claim that me and Zach both predicted 3, and the Colts got 4. So we were really close. I think we texted right when it happened. So, and the other part I was going to say too was that was the game 2 was, remember, we were talking about primetime ones. And that was one, what you just said about the 2 quarterbacks was a big reason I thought that would be a great game. The storylines write itself. You have Stafford, you have Wentz. So go ahead, man. I just wanted to chime in with that.
Man, you're right. And then I guess week 3, the Titans, right? It's our first road game. You said you'll be there in full spirit, repping No Horsing Around podcast and the Colts in Titans country. I think Steven, I think we win that football game. I just think we're a team that's really, really destined for a solid year. So I've got us winning that football game. And just quickly to wrap it up against the Dolphins, I also believe that we'll beat the Dolphins. I think we're going to start our season off 3-1. I know it's going to be tough. I think a lot of people would be happy with 2-2, honestly, just to get through that little first stretch. But I'm going to go 3-1. You're going to call me a Kool-Aid drinker or whatever, but I always usually call it how I see it. And I actually think we end up having a pretty good start this year. I just think this team's ready to take that next step. And I think this year, I haven't had a chance to mention on the podcast, I think this year the Indianapolis Colts narrative will be, we will be like the Buffalo Bills of last year. That team that just was really good, but nobody saw it coming. And then that evolution of that football team, that all of a sudden you're here in the playoffs and everybody fears it. They don't want to play the Bills. That nobody wants to draw that, and I really think our football team is going to be a lot like the Bills. And I'll let you take over and didn't mean to steal your thunder and get long-winded. What do you think about the first games, man?
Well, first of all, I love that idea that they would be like the Bills. I absolutely adore that idea. Looking through the schedule, you're right. The first game, I'm so torn because, like you said, the Colts, and that's what I was looking at really quickly was I was trying to remind myself, the Colts have not won a season opener since 2013. So it's and their games like against the Jags like last year. So they're not like you're playing the 2000 and what year, the 19-0 Patriots, the greatest show on turf, all these different things. You're playing not great teams sometimes and you don't come out. But on the flip side, when you think Seattle, I think people ultimately think of Legion of Boom, and these great teams of years past. They really up and down. So I'm gonna go with you too. I think we get a win at home. I think you're definitely right that home field's going to play a big advantage. They've already. I may have missed it. I may be wrong. You correct me because you lived there. Did we not already announce full capacity for the fall for the Colts games? Didn't they already announce that?
It seems like it's going to be full capacity. I don't have. I think they have timidly kind of said that, but yeah, I believe it's going to be. It's going to be a sold out crowd. I do. Russell Wilson's coming to town, and I will be there at that one. So I'm a Colts season ticket holder. So I've never seen Russell Wilson in person, so I think it'll be a great atmosphere in week 1 to get the season kicked off and back to normality as football fans know it.
And can we just say too, the home slate for the Colts, really great for season ticket holders, really great players coming in that we're going to get to see, that you're going to get to see. So, yeah, I'm going Colts in week 1. Week 2, I love it. They're already talking obviously about the fact that you're going to get, it's like a live action version of Kong versus Godzilla. You're getting Big Q versus Aaron Donald. On the flip side too, though, Raheem Morris would have to be an utterly moronic coach to continue to put Aaron Donald against him, shift him around. He's going to put him on Tevy or someone like that. There's no way he lines him up against Nelson all game long. But man, someone was saying they wish they just had a sky cam just for those two. Just follow those two when they're on each other, because it's going to be an amazing matchup. I'm going win. As much as I love the Stafford pickup and as good as I think they are, it's game 2. It's not the same as with Carson. Carson has a familiarity with Frank's offense. And he has an understanding. Now, granted, I'm not on Rams Twitter and I'm not checking to see if Stafford's throwing with these players like Wentz has, but there's going to be a feeling out period more for him, I feel. So I don't think they're going to be a really good team, but I don't think they're going to hit their stride right away. I think they could come out of the gates a little slow, like a 2-2 or something like that. And then when it clicks for him, I mean, Stafford's just an otherworldly talent. McVay's an amazing coach. So I'm going to go win. Game 3, Titans. I'm going to be there. It's a win. There's no hesitation on my part with that. I've been to the game. I think I've told the story. I was at the game 2 years ago when it was like 107 on the field. So it was like 105 in the stands, the hottest game I've ever been to. And Jacoby came back and they won the game at the end. So I'm going to win with that because also the Colts, it's kind of funny. They're almost more comfortable playing the Titans in Nashville than playing in Indy. They play so well down there. And I think part of it is even with a home crowd in game 3, it's like 60-40. Colts fans are like 40%, 60% of them are Titans fans. It's a fairly non-hostile environment for Colts fans. So we show out in droves, and then game 4, that's the Dolphins. Man, I'm going to go win. I'm going to say they start 4-0.
Wow.
I'm going to say, the one trip up game for me is going to be the same one that you have as the loss. It's going to be the Rams. That one worries me a little bit. But also, let's be honest, the opener worries me a touch too, just because we've played so poorly in them. But I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say they start 4-0, man. I'm going with it. I'm going to go with it, and I am sure that I'm going to hear from people about being a homer when it comes to the fact that I picked them to start 4-0. So, okay, so let's go next 4 up for you, man. Obviously, the next one up is a Monday night game. It is at Baltimore, so it's a primetime game. Then we've got Houston. Then we've got another primetime game against the Niners. And then we're back home against the Titans. So, what do you think, man?
So, Baltimore, we had Baltimore. I think everybody remembers last year the way we played in the first half. We had the perfect game plan and it just came out and just literally just pissed on our leg in the second half.
That might be the best way I've ever heard it put.
Unbelievable. I can't believe we lost that game. But I think this is a revenge game. I think we actually beat Baltimore. I know that they're always a good team. They're always a hard team to beat. But we are one of the few teams in the NFL that's actually designed to play well against mobile quarterbacks. We just are. We have guys who can really play sideline to sideline, very, very good athletic linebackers.
So let me get your opinion on something with the Ravens, Zach, because I always like to drift a little. What are your opinions? Because I think I asked Tony, I'm trying to remember if I asked Tony this last time or who I was talking to, but I was talking to somebody and I don't know how good I view Lamar Jackson as. To me, it's a big red glowing warning sign that no receiver wanted to go there. None. T.Y. didn't want to go there for more money. They picked up, who did they get? They got one receiver. I'm trying to think of who it was. Who did they sign?
Get somebody.
Sammy Watkins.
Yep.
They got Sammy, who is like it's like TY Light, TY Ultra. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. He's just not the same as him. But they no one wanted to go there. And you're looking at these clips of where he's just, he's not an accurate quarterback. And if you take his legs out of the game, I don't know. I'm curious. I just wanted to ask you, what do you think of him?
Obviously everybody, when they think of Lamar Jackson, they think of his running ability first, right? He's an elite runner. Nobody can take that away from him. But I feel like, I'll use a kind of a baseball analogy, even though I pretty much hate baseball nowadays. But, a fastball pitcher always relies on their fastball when they're in stress, right? So he always kind of breaks down and relies on his run when everything breaks down. But he's just not – this league always tends to figure guys like this out. And sometimes it takes longer because he's such a rare athlete, just a dynamic player when he takes off running, that you have to have a specific game plan for him every single time that you go out there, because he could kill you with his legs. I mean, he's the type of guy, 2 or 3 runs in a game could change the whole game. I mean, he's not a guy that can get a first down. He's a guy that can take the ball all the way down the field to score. That's a different type of quarterback. So you got to have a good plan for that. But that being said, his arm, to me, his ability to read defenses has not gotten a whole lot better as he's been in the league. He just doesn't have the ability to diagnose football plays. And then to couple that with the fact that he's just not quite a talented enough of a passer to really hurt teams. I mean, he'll catch you slipping every game, and there'll be that game 1 out of every 4 or 5 games that you'll look at Lamar Jackson and you'll think to yourself, you'll be like, oh my gosh, here he's turning the curve, But that's just kind of that misnomer. That's kind of that one game ever so often that he'll come out there. I don't think that he's ever going to be an elite actual NFL quarterback. I just think he'll always be very good. He'll always have a place just because of his athletic ability. But at the end of the day, he doesn't scare me enough as a passer for me to sit there and worry about him beating me one-on-one. I'd rather put my players in position to just stop the run, because that's what they are. They're a run-heavy team. They're a power team, downhill on the outside, option, RPO. He'll flick that ball out there every once in a while, but he just doesn't have, to me, any great viable passing options either. Other than they've got a really good tight end, but other than that, they don't really scare me. So I got a little long-winded there, off on a tangent, but no, to answer your question.
Wait till I talk. I've got something to say too, but I'll wait till it's my turn.
Lamar's not elite, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was curious about. I mean, because I get the biggest thing, and I won't go too much down the rabbit hole that is Lamar Jackson. But the biggest thing that annoys me with it is people who compare him to Michael Vick. It's really easy for fans of the NFL now who did not see Vick in his prime, like we did, who it's so simple and so easy to forget. Like Vick was, he was an amazing runner. You can never take that away. He was the best running quarterback in the history of the NFL. But Vick had a cannon for an arm too. He could put the ball anywhere on the field. He was lazy in his game plan until he got to the Eagles with Andy Reid. I mean, it's a comparison that annoys the ever-loving crap out of me, because he's not the same kind of player. But okay, well, let's not go down the rabbit hole. So
right,
okay, so next up we have the Texans.
The Texans. We're gonna assume Deshaun Watson's not going to be their starting quarterback, and I'm going to say that's going to be a win. So I guess that's got us at 5. I got us at 5-1 right now. And then our next game, you'd say, is against the Niners, right?
Yeah.
So I think that might be a trip-up game, honestly. I just think in a season you're going to hit bumps. You may go up against a rookie quarterback, which would be good for us, in my opinion. It may be still Jimmy G time. They've got a solid team. I really think Kyle Shanahan's a hell of a coach too. I mean, he's just got a great offensive mind. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and mark us down for a loss in that game there. And then we wrap it up with who is after the Niners. I don't have it in front of me.
The Titans again at home.
The Titans again. I think this year we go for the sweep against the Titans. I think we're going to finally take the AFC South crown back, and I think this year we're so primed for our defense to take that next step, Stephen. I really do. I think that we're gonna take that next step. last year we did a great job, especially the beginning of the season, taking the ball away from other teams. We got injured a little bit, and as the season went on, I think teams realized that Rock Ya-Sin was a little bit of a pass interference liability, and they started throwing.
You had to talk about Rock.
Exactly. I know you're a Rock fan, so I'm gonna send little subtle jabs at you all off season, just see what happens. But yeah, man, through 8 games, I got a 6-2. Where you at?
So let's look through there. Ravens, I agree with you, man. I mean, the first half game plan this past season was probably the best game I've watched all season. I mean, he couldn't do anything. He looked like a running back playing quarterback. It was amazing. But man, at the same time, playing in Baltimore on a prime time, and we always joke, let's not forget, for those who are new to Colts fandom, we always say this: Baltimore hates the Colts. Hates. They don't put the name Colts on the scoreboard when they play in Baltimore. They just put Indianapolis. They hate them. And that crowd is rowdy when it comes to these night games. Man, I hate to do it. I think it's probably going to be a loss. I hate to do it. I think it's going to be. I think it's just going to be. I don't think it's going to be Lamar that beats you. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it's going to be a really, really good game. I just think they end up taking it because just playing there, just that the whole setup of it worries me. Houston, I'm with you. Houston is a dumpster fire. Well, I think it's really safe to assume. I think, we joke. We don't say anything. We don't cover any of this. I'm not a newsbreaker. I'm not, as Colin Cowherd says, big J journalist. But I think we're safe to assume he's not playing. Whether he's suspended or he's just not on Houston, he's not playing. So you're getting a rookie quarterback. That's a win. They're probably going to be the worst team in the NFL or one of the worst. So, I mean, I think that's an easy win for them. San Francisco. So I have a bone to pick when it comes to San Francisco. I don't get it sometimes. So Frank Reich, in my humble opinion, is one of the best coaches in the NFL. 28-20, 2 out of 3 years in the playoffs, and 3 different starting quarterbacks, right? So he's been dealt kind of a crappy hand sometimes. Kyle Shanahan, when he doesn't have Jimmy G, is overwhelmingly a losing coach. But he is praised as this amazing coach all the time. And he's got a really, really talented squad too. I mean, and they were, I'll give them the pass last year. They were so banged up. But it irritates me so beyond belief that I feel like he gets this really big pass. Now, I would be lying if I didn't say I really wished the Colts had fired Pagano 1 year earlier and went and tried to hire him. But they didn't do it. So, but you're traveling out there. It's a primetime game. I think the Colts get the win. I think it's really possible, depending on what their schedule looks like, that Trey Lance is playing by that point. Now, I've said it on here, and Zach's heard me say it too, that in my opinion, I think Trey Lance is going to have the best career out of all the quarterbacks that were drafted this year. I think he has the best setup to success. I think he has the most talented team that he's going to, but he still has only played a handful. He's played one full season in one game, and he played it at the FCS level. So I'm marking it down as a win. Bam. Okay. So lastly, the Titans. I want to give them the sweep. I want to do it so badly. I really do. But they're so hard to get them. They're so hard to get these sweeps. I'm going to say the Titans get them, man. The Titans are still a really good team. Although I don't want to hear this. I'm so tired. Everyone knows I live in Tennessee. And I'm so stinking tired of the slander against Carson Wentz. Don't get me wrong. He had a horrible year last year. But at the same time, I like to think, and I'm gonna get put on blast for this when my buddies down here in Tennessee listen. I can fake a handoff to Derrick Henry and throw for 200 yards. The guy rushes for 2,000 yards, Zach. It's not a hard thing when you have that. I mean, like, it's not going to be hard for Carson with the backfield that we have. You just don't make mistakes. I'm not saying Tannehill's not a good quarterback, but don't come to me with this nonsense that he's a top 5 quarterback. I don't think that's the case at all. But that being said, I do think that we catch an L. And I hate that it's an Indy, but I do think it happens. I think we split with them. I'm going to drop a list a little bit. They're the only one I think we split with in the division.
Okay. That sounds good. What's our next 4 we got?
So the next 4 up that we got, let's see. Oh, yes. These are fun ones, man. So we have our primetime Thursday night game that me and you said we knew we would get, and we got probably the worst Thursday night game.
Yeah.
So we are playing the Jets. Then we get the Jaguars at home in Indy. Then we go to Buffalo for the rematch of the playoffs. And then we are at home against Tampa. It's an interesting stretch.
Yeah, man, you're right. So starting off with the Jets, I think that's a win. I think that they're still a really bad football team, to be honest with you. Got better and obviously got a really good quarterback who has a ton of talent, but I don't think this year you're going to see a lot of payoff from that pick. I think they're about they're next year, looking at next year as having a team, be a little more competitive anyway. So I think that's a win for sure. Secondly, I guess is Trevor Lawrence coming to town for the first time?
Yeah.
I think we beat Trevor Lawrence in his first time. I mean, I just do. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a really good career. I think he gets a little bit of a bad rap because that people say he doesn't love the game of football. I just think that one of the best things that can happen for him is getting in the NFL and having these new challenges. Like, he's just been so good for so long, in my opinion. He's almost gotten bored. I know that sounds stupid and that sounds cliche, but I believe in his case it's real. Like, he hasn't lost a regular season game like in his life, in a meaningful regular season game. Like, this is going to be such a different thing for him. But I think it's going to be, at the end of the day, it's going to be a good thing for him. But not this day. I think the Colts beat them, and I think we'll go out there and get that win. And then after them, who we got after them?
We are going to Buffalo for the rematch. Buffalo. So this is not only is it in Buffalo, it's Buffalo at the end of November. So there's like 10 inches of snow coming.
This is in my opinion, this is the no Komoko Ture game right here. Like, he's not allowed to play this game. I don't care what type of season he's having. Like, you say, listen, dude, you're a healthy scratch today, no matter what. He ain't playing. You're not jumping all sides on us today. It's not going to happen. But all jokes aside, it's a rematch game. I don't think the team that played best last year won that football game. And I know I'm a homer, I'm a Colts fan, but I truly believe that the best team on the field that day was the Indianapolis Colts, and they didn't get that win because of a couple bad, terrible offsides, missed field goal, just a couple of those things like that happened. But I think we kind of right the ship this year and make up for that. And then, Tom Brady. Yeah, I hate Tom Brady. I don't know how to say it any other way. I respect him because he's won so much at so many different levels. And this year, I hope we beat Tom Brady. I'll be at the game, but I'm going to mark that down as a loss. I mean, they're the Super Bowl champions. They're loaded. They're a very good football team. This late in the year, you got to feel like that the Bucs are going to have everything firing on all cylinders. Minus any major injuries. They're going to have worked out whatever they have worked out. And I just think that we're going to be on a good stretch there, winning so many games. And I think the Bucs are going to, in a close one, I think that I'm going to go with the Bucs slightly over us.
Yeah, I think I won't work backwards, but I think that's a good pick. So looking at mine, going on my side of it now, Jets, I think that's a win. I agree with you. I do think he's a talented young quarterback. I think me and you disagree on the fact that he makes me so nervous. because I've never been a fan of these 1 year fast risers. And I've got really good family friends who are BYU alum, go to the games, and they love him. Love BYU loves him. But he worries you a little bit. So I mean, I do think we get that win. I don't think that's it's going to be a short week. We're at home. I think it's going to be that's a W. It's a W on that one. Next up for me, is the Jaguars. So it is very well documented. I think they are going to be horrible. Um, and I feel like I have been proven right, Zach, on the fact that not only is he going to sign Tim Tebow to be a tight end, but he has Travis Etienne taking all his snaps at receiver this week. Now, I do agree. Trevor Lawrence will be good, but I don't think he is Andrew Luck generational good, where you can lift the team. I don't think he's going to be able to overcome just the dysfunction that is there. And I've said it, I've told you, I don't know if I've put it on tape, but I think I've told you, I feel like Urban Meyer's going to be out of the league in 2 years. I think he's going to flame out. I don't think they're good. I don't think they're good. I don't think there's a reason why you picked number one overall. There's a reason why you got to draft Trevor Lawrence. So,
Steven, hot take real quick.
Yes.
Who has a better career, Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence right now? Go.
Justin Herbert.
Damn. That was quick. Hot take.
Well, here's my thing, man. Here's my thing. I've always said this. I reserve my respect as an NFL fan. I reserve my respect and my fear for a quarterback who has played in the NFL. And not only did Justin Herbert play in the NFL, he excelled last year. He looked great. They made great drafting decisions this year. Obviously, the only, and there are issues with I was going to say San Diego. There are issues with LA where the management is not great. Rivers has proven that, but they've won. They've won at a high clip before, as opposed to the Jaguars, whose one claim for fame is making it to one AFC title game recently, with Blake Bortles. So, I mean, I think Justin Herbert he's great. He's going to be a great quarterback. He's got the build. He's kind of got a little bit of that moxie to him, and he's an Oregon kid, but he fits so well in Southern California. As long as he doesn't shave his head and look like Bobby Hill again, I think he's okay. But no, dude, yeah, I go with him. It is no knock on Trevor Lawrence. I agree with you. I don't really care I think he was misquoted a little bit with the whole passion for the game thing. I want my quarterback probably to have some interest outside. Andrew Luck had a ton of interest. Now, people will look back on that and say bad because he retired young. But I think when you win all the time, you've got to find some way to be self-motivated. And he was self-motivated enough to make it to the college football playoff every year he was there. So it's not a knock on him. I think the Jaguars are just so utterly dysfunctional that they can't get out of their own way. That's how I feel when it comes to them. So yeah, I think that's a nice crisp W for the Colts. At Buffalo, I'm going to go opposite of you. I don't think we win. It is it's a late season game. The weather's going to definitely be a factor, which is kind of funny because as I'm saying it, the Colts are built for that weather, and Buffalo's really not anymore. Buffalo is a throw it all around, or they were last year, fling it all around the yard, and they didn't run a lick. But as much as we have said all off season, couple plays here, Colts are going to win. So has the national media. The national media has said the same thing. So Buffalo has heard this the entire offseason, that they should have been beat in the Super Wild Card weekend by the Colts, that they were outplayed and the Colts should have won the game. So they've heard it now. And they brought back like their whole stinking team, including the offensive coordinator who Josh Allen adores. So as much as I want to say that it's going to be a W, I think it's going to be a loss for the Colts. You look like you have something on your mind when I said that now.
No, I mean, I just think that I like your rationale as far as how it goes. I just disagree. I think that this year is. I think we are the Bills of last year. This year, and I think that this year we take that step forward. I think it's going to be a very competitive game. I really do. I mean, I think it's going to be a super competitive football game, and I'm interested, man. I mean, I think that's one of the games I got circled on my calendar. I think it's a good barometer late in the season. We're going to find out what type of football team we have heading into the playoffs and that playoff run.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to cut you off. What do you got for the Bucks?
For the Bucks, so here's the thing: do I go with my head or do I go with my heart? So I'm going with my heart. It's the first time that Tom is coming back and playing the Colts in Indy since I believe. Is it the infamous fake punt game? The horrendous, isn't that the last time they came? The horrendous, worst play in NFL history game.
Yeah.
So
there was.
I think we come to play. I don't know. They're a loaded team, man. They are a loaded team, but they are an older team too. They've got some young talent, but they got a lot of older players. I can say anything I want. I'm just picking because I don't like Tom Brady, and I can't do it. Okay. I can't do it, man. I'm just gonna go with the Colts for the win because I can't pick Tom freaking Brady. I couldn't do it in the playoffs last year either. I gave predictions, and I literally couldn't bring myself to pick the Bucks in any round that I picked.
Yeah, that makes sense, man.
Okay, so the next one's like,
go ahead.
I'm gonna. So we got the bye week in this one. So, but first up is at Houston. Then we have our bye. Then we are against New England, and then at Arizona.
Okay, so we're gonna beat Houston. We're gonna split them. That's easy. Yeah, pull out the broomsticks. New England, Cam Newton, or Mac Jones, which does not scare me whatsoever. I'll just be honest with you. Yeah, we're going to beat the Patriots. We're going to beat the Patriots because A, they don't have Tom Brady as their quarterback. B, we hate them. And C, we're a way better football team than the Patriots are this year. Mm-hmm. So that's my logic on that. And then our third game was Arizona.
It is. It's at Arizona.
That's a tough one for me, man. I mean, that's a really tough game. Whoo! I mean, that's a coin flip. I'm going to go in that game right there. I'm going to go Colts over Arizona in a very, very tight shootout type of game. I just think that we're a little bit better football team. Those are pretty close, comparable football teams, if you ask me, as far as talent. But I think that we beat Arizona.
I can't disagree with like any of your picks with it. So I mean, like we said earlier, I think Houston is an utter dumpster fire. I think they are probably up there with one of the worst teams in the league this year. I think that's a win because I don't think, and I'll clarify too, like when we talked earlier, when we said it earlier, I don't think Deshaun Watson plays for Houston at all this year, whether he's suspended or traded. He's not playing for Houston. He might not play. Don't get me wrong. He might not play at all this year because he's suspended. But if he gets in a game, it's going to be for somebody else. They've made that known with the drafting. They had one pick in the first 150, and they took a quarterback. So, I mean, that says something. Yeah. That's a win. Bye week's a win. Exactly. New England, I'm with you. I don't think they're ready. I mean, they went and spent bukus of money. They bought all their talent this year. And, it's important. I always think it's fun to remember. Ballard says it too. You pick up free agency when you whiff in the draft. Okay. So if you were to hit on your receiver picks and your tight ends picks, you're not going out there and paying all this money for these players anymore. So they've not drafted well. I think Mac Jones is playing by now, but I don't think he makes a difference this year. It's kind of well known. at this point, my feelings toward Mac Jones. you know, I just and one of my best friends is Adam, who runs Bama Brawl, and we have a healthy discussion all the time on Mac Jones. I think he went to probably one of the better places for him, but I don't think it doesn't make a difference. There's no rookie quarterback you can point to me this year and say that's like, that's going to give me like a 5-game win swing like that. He's the difference maker for that team this year. I don't see that in any of them really. So I'm going win with them. So then we are on to at Arizona. I agree with you, man. Super comparable teams. Obviously they have a really young, really dynamic quarterback who's still learning, I think. I think a big difference is the coach. I think Frank is a well-respected, winning, very talented coach. I still don't know with Cliff Kingsbury. I still don't know. I think it's always funny when you hear people say, when you get fired from your alma mater, something's probably not great because your alma mater does not want to fire you. And he got fired from there. It'll be interesting. At this point in the season, you're going to know how good they are. Or did they take the next step or did they take a step back? I'm going to go a loss for the Colts.
Wow.
I'm going to go a loss. It's cross-country trip. It's a prime time game. It's Christmas. I forgot to say that when I looked. I'm going to go loss. I think looking at the schedule, I think we split our primetime games, which is enough to get us more next year. So, but I'm going to go a loss at Arizona, man.
All I want for Christmas is Steven to be wrong on that prediction.
I do too, man. I don't want to watch Christmas night. I told my wife, I said, hey, this is great. Colts play on Christmas Day. And she's like, you're not going to get to watch. It's Christmas night. It's when you unwind. Everyone else is asleep. I'll be watching the football game.
Exactly.
Okay, so last 2 games, week 17, and then the mythical new week 18. So week 17, Raiders. Week 18, at Jags.
Okay, so that's for the Raiders. This is going to be the year, in my opinion, that every single person is going to start like finger pointing at John Gruden. Like, I think this is going to be the year they're going to be like, dude, you've had plenty of chances. You've got to decide all the players that come in, all of these drafts, and you haven't been able to fully put it together. I just don't see a good football team, to be honest with you. I think I see an average football team. That's all I see. I don't see a terrible football team, but I don't see a really, really good football team. They've missed so many times in the draft, and they take these guys, and I know that, we're just fans and we're not professional scouts. Obviously, we would love to do that for a living, but these decisions they make are just out of this world. Some of the guys that they go ahead and decide to take, especially in the first round. I think that's a win. And then we're going to finish up, and I think we go for the sweep against the Jags, man. I really do. I think we're gonna have a great year in the AFC South. Like you said earlier, the only game that I would question that I would be wrong on would be one of those Tennessee games, just because it's us in Tennessee, and I think everybody else is kind of at the bottom. We're gonna fight for it just like we did last year. So yeah, wrapping up the season, I don't know what my count was, but that's
I'll reveal it to you.
That's a playoff football team. I'm sure of that.
I'm sure of that. Prove it, man.
All right, man.
So Raiders, I'm with you, man. I don't. So in my opinion, they've got a pretty solid running back. Josh Jacobs is a really talented running back. I love Derek Carr. He kind of feels like that quarterback everyone just bashes on, but he's solid. He's not spectacular. Kind of like he kind of describes the Raiders the way you did. Good, but not great. It's kind of funny because he was mentioned for a long time by Colts fans as someone we wanted to trade for. So, but I think we go out there. I think we get that W again. They come here this time. My bad. And I think we get that W because you're going to be coming off a loss. You want to build a little bit momentum going into the playoffs. I mean, I don't even feel like I have to pick the last game. I've already said how I feel about the Jaguars. I think they suck. I think they're horrible. You know what, man? I'm going to go. Well, one, they're going to win. Okay, so the Colts are going to win. I'll go ahead and mark that. I'm going to make a bold prediction. I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. I think Urban Meyer pulls a Bobby Petrino.
Really?
I think he pieces out before the season's over.
Wow.
I really do. Because my thought process, people are going to rip me to shreds. With this is that he's never, when you look, he's never lost, and he's going to do a lot of losing, and he's just shown so much misstep already with the hiring of the strength coach. With now he's bringing in Tim Tebow to play a position he's never played, and he's not played in 8 years. And you can tell me that Tim Tebow is this amazing athlete who hadn't picked up a baseball bat in 15 years, and he went to AAA baseball. Okay, well, he's Tim Tebow, and he's a draw. So that's why he moved, probably. I mean, and he hit well. I won't take it away from him. But you're bringing in him, and then you have now this come out with the fact that he's got ETN taking only wide receiver snaps at the rookie mini camp this week. And it's like, okay, why you draft a really good running back and you're trying to make him a wide receiver? I'm really confused. So bold prediction, man. I'm telling you, I might be wrong on him piecing out in the middle of the year, but I don't think he lasts long, man. I just don't. I don't think he's cut to be an NFL head coach. I think this is a cushy job that he came back for. I would have loved to see him pull it out of his hat and draft Justin Fields, but just blow everyone's mind.
I think you'll see a lot of Chip Kelly syndrome with Urban Meyer too. You know, I mean, those guys had a lot of success in college. Urban even more than Chip Kelly, to be honest with you. I mean, but the one thing about Urban that I do know, and I don't know everything about him, the one thing I know about Urban Meyer is that he can't stand to lose. Like, he just can't deal with that. And, you know, he's coming from a situation in college where if he loses more than one time a year, that's a bad season, right?
Yeah.
Now he's going to the NFL where it's inevitable that he's going to lose several football games, and he inherited a really bad football team with bad ownership. We can call it what it is, and we can say, hey, they've changed their ways. They've gotten better leadership in there. But until you prove it to me, the one thing that helps them out, and I'm probably different than you on Trevor Lawrence. I know that you don't think he's going to be great. I don't see when I think of Trevor Lawrence, I don't close my eyes and I don't see Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, you know, those types of guys. I don't. But I see a really, really good quarterback. Call him a career, maybe a parallel to I don't know, a Matt Ryan, maybe, you know, something like that. A Donovan McNabb, you know, who had success but never took it all the way, never got the championship. I think he'll still have a very productive career. I don't think there's any way that he just completely just fails and falls flat on his face. The only bad part he's got going for him is he's a part of the Jags organization, honestly. Like, that was just a bad deal for him. I mean, he would have been so much more lucky if he would have slid down in the draft. Just think about Trevor Lawrence, the difference between him going 1-3. What if Trevor Lawrence was the 49th quarterback this year? Now everybody's talking about Trevor Lawrence and what he can do and what he can be a part of. And that just shows you how important it is to have a guy like Frank Reich running your football team, a guy you can trust, but not just an X's and O guy, a great leader of men. I mean, those guys respect Frank for who he is, and they play hard for him, man. I mean, they just do. And when things go bad, they play even harder for coaches like Frank Reich. I'm not sure when things go bad and the finger pointing starts with Urban Meyer, I'm not sure that they want to play harder for a guy like that. So, you know, I agree with you. I don't think Urban quits this year. I think year 2, he's done. I don't think he can stand not being successful. If they don't have a deep run in the playoffs, it ain't happening, in my opinion. Because he came to the NFL for one thing, to prove the world wrong. And then on top of that, he wants to win a championship. That's it. That's all. And if he can't do it, he's going to come up with, I don't know, I mean, maybe a heart issue, or, you know, he's having, you know, some sort of a issue. he'll find some way to back out of it. But that's just my opinion.
I know you're not getting a disagreement from me. I mean, I'm an Indiana fan. I mean, my family is diehard through and through Florida State fans. So it's bred in me. I mean, there might be biased. It's bred in me to not like him from when he was at Florida. But even the best college coach of all time, in my opinion, which is Nick Saban, struggled in the NFL. It just didn't, because you don't. Steve Spurrier said it best when he said the difference between coaching in the NFL and coaching in colleges. He gets 53 first-round picks every year. You go and you get the best players. You don't necessarily get that. Here's the one for you. What would you say if you gave me the comparison of Matt Ryan for Trevor Lawrence? And I know this is not a Jags thing, but I'm just curious. What would you say if I told you he ends up with a career similar to Andy Dalton?
I'd say I don't think that's going to happen. I'd say,
but I want to clarify. Andy Dalton was not a bad quarterback in Cincinnati.
That's fair.
Playoffs and the organization part is really, really similar to the Jaguars.
Yeah. You're not off. I just think I think he's too good. I mean, at the end of the day,
I'd say you're wrong.
Yeah, I just don't think about that. I just think that Trevor is. I think he's a pretty damn good quarterback. I think this class. The cool thing about this class is I think we got 4 guys in this class that are going to be here 10 years from now, and we're still going to be talking about them. Like, that doesn't happen all the time. I mean, you think about like a Mitchell Trubisky. He played that contract out. He's done. I mean, he may not get
Josh Allen now.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are going to probably progress and probably be the future of the NFL. So I think that all in all, is a very good quarterback class. I'll never, ever, ever, and I support Carson Wentz 100%. He is my quarterback. He has all of my backing, but I'll never, ever, ever get it out of my mind what it would have been like to have Justin Fields as our quarterback this year, man. I mean, I loved him. I think he's just a psycho competitor. He's different, man. I mean, when I see him, he's just different. I mean, and Chicago, God, that was a good move for Chicago. Chicago they don't have a good enough, strong enough organization. I wish I like when great players go to great organizations because you get to see the very, and I don't know if that's
well, that's my opinion with Trey Lance. That's why I've got that. I mean, as much as I got my little soapbox about Kyle Shanahan, the dude can coach quarterbacks. I'll give him that. And that organization is built in a way that is just, it's insulated for him. I mean, I've said that I think, and I love Justin Fields. He's who I wanted the Colts to go get before they traded for Carson. But I've said I think Trey Lance ends up as probably the best pro out of this entire class. I mean, I'm with you, though. I don't see the only one that you look at and you go, I don't know, for me, is Zach Wilson. But it's funny when we talk about Trevor Lawrence, too, is that, and not to go too far, and then we'll jump over, is that I got asked, I was like, if you were him, would you rather go to the Jets or the Jags? I would rather go to the Jets. The Jets have shown in the past an ability to actually go to the playoffs and go to AFC title games. So the Jags it's just a dumpster fire. Okay, so going through the schedule, Zach wasn't sure what he picked. I wrote them all down. So, Zach, you have our mighty Indianapolis Colts going 14-3.
Wow.
Which sounds really weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And 3. And I am really close. I have them 13-4. So, I mean, we both are feeling – I feel like we're walking with our chest out a little bit right now.
Yeah.
with it. Yeah. And the most interesting – Tony asked me this last time when we were talking about the first stretch of games is, would you be happy at 2-2? And I think the most interesting part is when you're looking at these records, I think we both are banking on Carson's going to play really well. Maybe not 2017 Carson, but 2000. I mean, you've heard me say, me and you have said, I'll take 2019. He was really productive, really good quarterback that year. So, I mean, we don't mark it down, guys. Don't mark it down. I'm sure things will fluctuate a little bit before the start of the year, because we'll do this again when we get through training camp. when we kind of have an idea of what the Colts team looks like, what the other teams are looking like, what the season's really looking like right now. I mean, we're really excited, obviously, because off season is actually happening a little bit this year. Rookies were in camp, helmets were on, everyone was pumped. We talked about that last time. So, okay, you guys. So we're going to jump in to social media sessions. I'm really excited because I did this by myself a few weeks ago without Zach, and I don't like it, man. I like when Zach's here. I like to see his face. I know you guys can't unless you're watching YouTube, but okay. So the first one is from James Turner. He wants to know: do we finally have all the pieces to make a Super Bowl run against Tom Brady? What do you think?
Okay, so I think I've been on record saying that we're going to be a very good football team this year. I guess the benchmark is, can we beat the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And I guess that's anybody in the AFC. Can they beat the Kansas City Chiefs? And my answer this year would be no. I think we're a very, very good team, and we are so close. I mean, so close. And there's so many factors. You got to have health. You got to have you got to have your stars playing at the right time. But I just don't think that we are a Super Bowl team this year. Now, if you tell me we're playing in the AFC Championship game this year, I'm not surprised whatsoever, honestly. If we are playing it actually against the Chiefs in that game, and we played a hell of a game against Patrick Mahomes, a few years ago. The game that Kamoko Ture actually got hurt. We played an incredible game with an incredible game plan. I just don't think we're quite there. I think we're one more draft, one more offseason away from solidifying our stronghold in the AFC and having the opportunity to overtake them. Now, that being said, it's early in the offseason. You just don't know what Chris Ballard has up his sleeve. Is he going to make another move? Is he going to go out and say, hey, this is the year that I'm going to go all in and I'm going to do something abnormal and I'm going to maybe go for a veteran presence, a cap casualty, of more of a bigger name than he's used to going for. I've heard rumblings of Julio Jones. I don't think that's going to happen, man.
You've heard that up there too? I've heard that down here.
I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think that sounds good. We obviously, anytime there's a big name player this late in the year, it's always a direct correlation with who has the most money left to spend, and that's always going to be the Colts. So we're always going to be these big players. But to me, it just doesn't seem like we would do that unless the Falcons are saying, hey, look, we just need somebody to take him off of our books. I mean, if you're going to do that and you want a fourth or a fifth round pick, then maybe Ballard listens to something like that. But otherwise, I don't think that happens. So to answer the question, got a little long-winded there. But no, I don't think we're a Super Bowl team yet. But I think we are very, very, very close.
Yeah, I'm with you on it. I mean, you've heard me say it too. None of the moves, the listeners have heard it too, is that none of the moves that Ballard has made this offseason scream, I'm in win now mode. That this is we're one player away. He's done none of it. So I mean, I don't view us as Super Bowl contenders, but I am in agreement with you. If we're not playing, if we don't make the playoffs, it's not a good year. It's a failed year at this point. If we're playing in the AFC title game, would I be shocked? No. And I loved your point when you said about Mahomes, is that Ballard has built the team in a way that if these players start to come kind of to fruition, if Quiddy, takes a step, if Kamoko can come back a little, if Dio is what he is supposed to be, and you have Buckner, that seems to be the recipe for beating Mahomes, which is put him on his back, and he's built the team to be that way. So I'm not going to disagree with you on that at all. So all right, so I've got this question, and this is just for you. I'm not even going to answer this. This one's all you, Zach. Okay, because I can't believe we got it. It's a dude named Steven Rogers. Will we finally bench Rocky Scene this year?
Oh, man. Hey, listen, I'm going to go on the record as saying that Rock Ya-Sin may start the season week 1 as their starting cornerback, but absolutely will not end up. I don't care if he's healthy. I don't care what's going on. It's over. I mean, the Rock Ya-Sin experiment, in my opinion, will be over. I think we all know that TJ Carey beat him out at the end of the year. You know, he had some health issues as well, but I think truthfully internally in that organization, I thought that was one of the key glue signings of this offseason, to go out there and give yourself a veteran presence on the outside if for some reason, you know, Ya-Sin doesn't take that next step. I don't think there's any question that Ya-Sin works hard. I don't think there's any question that Ya-Sin wants to be a really good cornerback in the NFL. I think it comes down to just one thing. I don't think he physically has all of the tools to be a high level NFL quarterback. I just don't. I don't think it's his fault. You know, I think it's actually, if we want to be fair about it and harsh, I think it's Chris Ballard's fault. I think Chris Ballard drafted a guy who's known for his physicality, his length, but he doesn't have the speed, you know, to make up for those Route 20s beats. So what do? When we're beat, we use our hands every single time. You know, we want to grab that guy. We will, and even in tight space, he never feels comfortable. He has to have his hands on you because he's so worried that those receivers can get away from him. So he wants to grab them as they start breaking off on those routes. I don't think Ya-Sin is going to be our starting quarterback, our cornerback at the end of the year. I don't know who that'll be. You know, you got Marvell Tell is going to come back. It looks like he's going to actually play this year. You got Carey out there. I don't know who eventually wins that job, but I think that Ya-Sin probably becomes more of your nickel package as the season progresses.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with a lot of what you say. As much as I like him, you know, I can't disagree with the handsiness. I can't disagree with when he gets in tight space. He's got to have a hand on them. The only point,
Stephen, here's the problem. Not to cut you off, he plays with his hands. But when he jams at the line, he doesn't even put his hands up to jam you properly. Like it drives me nuts, man. If you go back and like watch the film, I'm like, dude, here's the one time inside of 5 yards you can actually put your hands on somebody, and you don't put them in the wrong freaking place. Like it just he's just whatever, man. I'm on a tangent.
Fired up, man. Fired up.
We ain't buying the Boyd household is not buying no Rock Ya-Sin jerseys, okay? Because he's not gonna be a Colt for a whole life.
The only thing that I'll say with Rock is it's very, very telling that they didn't draft any corners this year. I think he could play. I don't think they bench him necessarily. I think if he's not the starter, like you're saying, he has played himself out of the job. I think they're going to give him every opportunity to remain the cornerback number one. I think they're going to give him not number one, that's Xavier, but number two. Number two, that's Kenny. You know what I mean. But I think they're going to give him every opportunity to see if he can do it. But if he becomes a detriment like last year when he, you know, the horrendous games, then yeah, I mean, I could see it happening. I'm hopeful for him because it's so easy, as bad as he is sometimes, to forget he's such a still young player. I think the frustrating thing is corner is a position that tends to lend itself to a very, very easy transition because you're alone on an island with one guy and your job is to lock him down. And the issue with Rock is he likes to hold them down, you know? So I thought that was a fun. I didn't ask for that one. That one just came in and it screamed to me that I've got to ask Zach that one.
Great question.
Okay, so last one. We're going to do one more. Deshaun Wells. So wait, you know what? Give me just a second. I'm going to skip. Deshaun, we'll get to yours, but where is it, man? I know Vinny sent me in one, and he was so angry last time. And I say that fully joking. Vinny never gets angry at me or you. But what did he? I want to find it. This is fun. This is fun little dead air for you guys, real quick, because I want to find where Vinny sent it to me, because I want to make sure that I answer Vinny's question this week, because he literally texted me, man, as we finished recording last time.
Absolutely, I remember that happening specifically. I was
it was hilarious.
He was late on the draw just by a couple minutes. Literally, as soon as I checked Twitter, he was already on there.
Oh, he's hilarious. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Oh man, no, I can't. I can't ask his question because it's a draft question. Oh,
Oh,
Vinny. Okay, so then I won't. Then I won't do it. But I will say, Vinny is starting a new podcast. We've talked about that. He has a name now. It is Fantasy Football Revamped. I did the logo for it. So make sure you guys keep an eye out for it. He wants me and you to come on because I know a little bit of fantasy football, but not enough. So I'll ask the last question then that I was going to see was Deshaun. There it is. Deshaun Wells. Can we have more plays from DeMichael Harris, aka one of the fastest players in the league? What do you think, man? I mean, my thing with the wide receiver is health wise, it's actually a pretty crowded position. I know you're big on Desmond Patman, and he's going to get playing time this year, I would think. And it's really crowded. So I don't know how you incorporate DeMichael, and I love DeMichael Harris, but I don't know how he fits. I don't even know if he makes the cut.
I like him, man. I mean, I think he's. I know you always hear the word gadget guy, but I mean he's really a specialty guy. Like he's a guy that can come out there. I know Frank trusted him on some end arounds last year as well as throwing him the ball. I think the one thing that really stood out to me last year, Steven, that I liked about him the most, there were a couple 50-50 balls that Phillip threw up there. Whether he was trying to do it or not, it was still a 50-50 ball. And he actually climbed up and pulled those balls down. I mean, I know he had a couple late season errors that wasn't the greatest. Gun to my head, I say he doesn't make this football team. I like him. I'm rooting for him, but I just think there's just a lot of talent in that wide receiver room, and I think they've got some guys they want to grow. I think they want to become a much more physical receiving core. You've already got Ty who can kind of beat you over the top, and now you got those guys like Pittman who can kind of blend both things. And one thing with Pittman that we didn't get to see enough last year was those true 50-50 balls that he caught so much. Like, I just think that because of the injury, I just think Phillip never got a chance until late in the season to really trust him on those 50-50. Because as a quarterback, if I throw that ball up there, if I don't have 100% trust with that wide receiver, that ball can be picked off just as easy as it can be caught. You know, it can go south on you real fast. But I think that's a part of the game this year that I'm looking forward to seeing in Pittman's game, where he just goes up and just rips that ball out of the air and just go get it, man. You know, just make a play and just block the guy out and go up there and get it and pull it down and grab that big first down. And if he wants to be an elite number one receiver, those are the types of plays that you got to have from your star. You know, the ones that I always think of Reggie Wayne, my favorite wide receiver of all time. He caught how many balls did he catch that he wasn't supposed to catch? Like, it's just amazing to me. Like, those balls, the placement on those footballs, and he just caught it and tried and just kept going and made football plays and stretch out for a first down. That's what you got to do if you want to be the number one. If you want to be the alpha in the room, then you got to make those plays that you're not supposed to make. Not just the ones that you are supposed to make, the ones that you're not supposed to make. So, yeah, I think DeMichael, cool player. I like him. I like his story. I don't think he's a Colt this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. And I love DeMichael Harris. You know, former running back, you can tell when he gets the ball in his hands. But, man, it's just a numbers game. You know, we were sitting here, Ty, Pittman, Pascal, Paris. Who's the five? This is where we and you were debating. Do we Patman? You know, so you get Patman in there, but then you've got Doolin, you've got DeMichael, you've got and do you carry six receivers? Because you've already got three tight ends. You've got three tight ends that you're possibly going to carry, unless I am correct on the prediction that Jack Doyle gets cut, which I don't know. I mean, it's a wild prediction. It's my little one, and we'll go into that later. But it's like I think it's more of a numbers thing. If they can hide him on the practice squad, I don't think they'll try to do it.
Yeah, that's a real possibility. A guy that you can, and I'm interested in seeing. I'm not going to get off on a tangent. That's for another podcast. But I'm interested to see how they use those rules this year. Last year, I liked those rules. How you could just kind of bring guys up anytime. It just gave teams really good flexibility. We'll see because COVID, how it works out. Maybe we get lucky in one more year, they'll go with the same set of rules as they did last year. But yeah, you're right, man. It's a full room in that wide receiver room, and it's going to be a dogfight at 5th and 6th spot.
It's going to be interesting. So obviously, social media sessions, we love it. You find me, and if you're watching on YouTube, down at the bottom, No Horson, at No Horson. You know how to get me. It's at Stephen Burton 86. You know how to get Zach. It's at Colts Nation 365. Hit us up with questions on there. You can find us in. You can find me in most of the larger Colts Facebook groups too. You can find me on there. You can ask me questions there too. Get them to us however you want. We love getting them from you guys. It's so important, the interaction. Just like we always say too, it's so important that you get involved, that you rate, review, subscribe, share, follow, whatever it is you do on whatever platform you do it on. We ask you guys to please keep doing it. It's how we know how we're doing. So, obviously, Social Media Sessions is powered by One Call Technology. One Call Technology is an amazing sponsor of ours. It's the company I work with, so I'm partial to it. It is a leading telecommunications provider. It is a family-run, small, local business that does an amazing job in regards to hosted phone services, telephone services, and carrier services. If you think you're paying too much on your bill, it's as simple as going to onecalltech.com, or you can call their 1-800 number. I'm going to give that out to the local number. It's 1-888-585-8850. And when you get a hold of them, you may get me. Just tell them No Horson sent you, and I don't know, maybe I'll give you a good deal. We'll see. So I want to say we're gonna go at the very end here. Zach has a really freaking cool announcement that I'm gonna let him do because he put in all the grunt work to it, and I just get to ride the coattails.
Yeah, man, super excited. Stephen, we got merch, man. We got merchandise. You can actually go and Stephen's going to provide that on the link tree. It'll be on all of our sites. You can go and tap in. You can see what we got. We're going to have t-shirts, long sleeves, hoodies, cases, socks. Girls apparel, kids apparel, leggings, sweatpants. Just about everything on there. We wanted to give you guys a cool platform to support us in any way. And, that's the type of thing that kind of keeps our podcast going. It helps with just the routine things. I'm sure my boy Steven wouldn't mind having a better mic, and I wouldn't either. Those things go a long way, for helping us out. But it's just a nice thing, man. It's cool to be a part of this tight-knit community, and you'll have everything you need. We're going to hopefully have the link up by the time you hear this podcast. We'll have everything there. Go there. And we also have a promo code. No Horsing 1 gets you free shipping for the rest of this month. So we're going to do No Horsing 1 free shipping for the rest of this month. Go on there, check us out. At the very least, go on there, see what you think, what you do like, what you don't like. DM us. Just interact with us, man. Let's just have a conversation and say, hey, man, I really like this on there, or I didn't care for this, and help us tweak it, help us make it better, because at the end of the day, this podcast is for you because we're Colts fans, you're Colts fans. That's the biggest thing, man. We love talking Colts football, and as long as we got at least one person, interacting with us, we're going to keep doing this thing, man. It's just that fun to us. This is not work. This is our hobby. This is what we do. And we look forward to it and sharing that with you. And go there and check our page out. And like I said, if you don't find anything you like, just let us know what you think, and we'll work on improvements.
Yeah, I'm excited. I told Zach, we don't get the stuff for free. I've already got like $50 worth of stuff in my cart already. So if you get something, let us know. Snap a picture when it arrives. If you get your little card decal on the back, snap a picture, send it to us. It's just so cool. Like you said, we got shirts. So Vinny, on those cold Canadian nights, you can strap up with a hoodie with No Horsing. On those nice warm nights, you can get a t-shirt. We've got women's clothing. So for Heidi and JJ and Deb and Gina, all you guys can get on there. These are like extremely loyal people to our podcast. We've got stuff for you guys too. So I could not be more excited. He's been brewing on it for like a couple of days and sending me things. So I'm so excited for it. And then the other little announcement too, just a small little one, is we've made a little tweak to our schedule. So we are going to record our second episodes now on Thursday night and release them on Friday. So you guys will have No Horsing for your commute on Fridays. No longer waiting on the weekends. We love dropping it on the weekends. It's a fun little thing. But we miss not being able to talk to you guys, obviously, on your commute to work. So look for that. That'll be up this week. So, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited. The schedule looks it looks tough, but we didn't make it look very tough tonight. And we've got some really cool things, you guys. And like we said earlier, just rate, review, subscribe, share. I know we say these things all the time to do them, and I know sometimes it feels like, because I can be honest, I'm just as big a culprit as others. There are podcasts that I listen to, and I realized I had never reviewed. So it's like, man, Kevin Bowen, I'm sorry, I fixed that really quickly. Or all of our amazing podcasts at the Lounge Network. We've gone through and made sure that we fix that. It doesn't take long. It's so appreciative, to read the comments, to see those. It gets us to where we feel we are doing a good job, and you guys do enjoy it. So I got nothing else. Zach, you got anything, man?
No, man, it's a great show. I'm excited about the merch. I'm excited about the fan interaction, and look forward to getting ready for their Friday evening podcast where they can listen to us now on Friday nights.
Awesome, man. Well, you guys know how we end it, man. I love you. Zach loves you. We're out.